The Leominster City Council meeting is funded in part by DeCarolis Insurance Agency at www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com and by Avidia Bank at www.avidiabank.com.
Angelini, are you prepared for the public hearing?
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I am. This is a 6:50 public hearing of the Legal Affairs Committee. My name is Peter Angelini, Chairman. I'm joined by the other two members of Legal Affairs, Ward 1 Councilor Robert Tossi and Ward 3 Councilor Pauline Cormier. This is petition 30-24, Peter Nile, Building Commissioner, requests to update our plumbing permit fee schedule. See attached. This was given regular course on a February 12th meeting, and we asked the Building Commissioner to come down tonight and explain.
Councilor Angelini, it's my understanding from the clerk that he did not know he needed to be here this evening.
He thought he's only supposed to be here March 11th. We can, is this better? We kind of have to eat our mic sometimes, so I apologize. Thank you. He was under the impression he was here March 11th only. And it didn't dawn on me when he had this conversation today during early voting to say otherwise.
So, but we did send a letter, didn't we?
Yes, an email. He received that.
Stating that we would like to have him here tonight.
Yes.
Okay, well, in light of that, I'm going to, I had questions for him, obviously. There's an empty seat, so I'm going to go to other members of Legal Affairs. Councilor Tossi, do you have any questions? Councilor Cormier?
I have no questions.
Any members of the council wish to opine? Have any questions on petition 3024? Okay, seeing none, we ask the public, is there anyone in attendance this evening who would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to petition 30-24? For the second time, is there anyone in attendance this evening that would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to petition 30-24? And for the third and final time, is there anyone in attendance this evening that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition to petition 30-24? Seeing none, I think what we need to do is further time this till the building commissioner is present.
March 11th at 6:35 p.m.
Okay, we'll take that up in our agenda and we'll vote that formally when we get into our agenda. And I guess the public hearing will be continued for now. Thank you, Councilor Angelini, Mr. Chairman. We're doing our best with limited resources, and I will try to speak up and be as loud as we possibly can. For the public forum will begin in 2 minutes because it's scheduled to begin at 6:55 p.m. and it's only 6:53. So this will be a television timeout for now.
number was right. Okay. 23.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That's bad. Hush.
That's all right. I can yell. Okay, it's 6:55 PM right now. This is our allotted time for the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for any member of the audience to speak on a matter specifically listed on the council agenda. Speakers will be asked to come to the microphone and state their formal name and address, along with identifying the specific item or items they wish to address. Each speaker is respectfully asked to keep their comments within a 2-minute time frame. The council will not be responding or answering any questions. However, at the discretion of the council president, clarification may be given. We have no one signed up, but we will now ask, is there anybody that wishes to address the council in the public forum? If so, come to the table and give us your name and address and which item you wish to address.
Hello, I'm Juliana Reyna, 192 Pleasant Street in Leominster, apartment 4. And I'd like to address C38 on the agenda. I am the vice president of the board of trustees at Wasp Meadow Condos at 192 Pleasant Street. I'm part of just one of the 35 families that live and own in this community. And we just wanted to address, or take this opportunity rather, to express our concern and explain the problems that we're continuing to encounter since the flooding on 9/11/23, with the mayor presenting a request for funding to purchase the property at 208 Pleasant Street. We're requesting that consideration is made with this purchase plan to provide funding to help us repair the damage done to our shared property. We've had debris from both the property at 208 Pleasant Street and the sinkhole that caused it, and they've created an urgent need to reroute a waterway now on our property, mere inches from some of our homes. Several units had basement flooding and damage, which is unfortunately on us individually to repair. There is, however, considerable damage to our property outside, and now an active waterway through our property that it wasn't there before. A stream has moved much closer to our units. We are scared that the damage, which continues to worsen with every weather event we've had since 9/11, will cause us to lose our homes if we don't receive help. The cost to repair the yard alone has been quoted as over $30,000, and this amount doesn't include the cost of rerouting the waterway that now flows by our units, which this amount we're assuming would be a life-altering amount of money, potentially causing us to lose our homes and the community we've built at Wasp Meadow together. The residents at Wasp Meadow are hopeful that the purchase plan to stabilize the property at 208 Pleasant Street will include financial resources to help us remove and repair the damage. We would like to invite all of you to come see our homes, see the damage, meet with us, and hear from our residents yourselves. We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Just by way of clarification, I did respond to, I think, your president.
Yes.
And indicated as a result of a conversation with the mayor that if in fact we are authorized, or we authorize the mayor to raise that property, that engineering will then be done in order to solve your problem.
Excellent.
So that is hopefully the plan, depending on what occurs tonight.
Thank you very much for your
welcome.
time.
Thank you for coming. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Yes.
Hi, Council. My name is Andre Obin. I'm the son of Joanne and Arthur. We lost our home at 208 Pleasant Street on 9/11/2023. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here, and we really appreciate that we've gotten to this point. So I just wanted to state that, despite what happens tonight, I'm so incredibly grateful that my parents made it out alive that night. And if it wasn't for Zach and Justin sitting behind me, I probably wouldn't be able to be here to represent my family either. So I'm eternally grateful to Zach and Justin sitting right behind me. They're real heroes. They got my parents out of Dodge just in time before the walkway at my house collapsed. And there's tons of different people that helped us get to this point, including community members and people on this very council. I just wanted to state that, my family's suffered a lot of trauma from this. I believe my parents are the only people that were displaced. And they've been displaced for 6 months. And they lived in that house for 35 years, and they're 71 and 72. So as you can imagine, like they got very used to the comforts of home, and this has been very difficult on them. We're really looking for closure here. It would be an amazing thing for you to vote in favor of this measure, so that we could move on and find peace. I also want to emphasize that it would mean the world to our neighbors, as you heard from the last neighbor. I know that the structure itself has become an eyesore, and it's tough to have our family name attached to an eyesore that's become a bit of a public nuisance. And I know that kids go by that on the buses, and they see that house, and we would really like to take care of it as quickly as possible, not just for us, but for the community. I just wanted to speak a little bit about what we've done in Leominster. We bought my family bought that house in 1989, and we've paid our taxes. We paid house insurance. We didn't get any help from the insurance company. We're depending on the city council of Leominster to help us here. And in terms of what the city has asked us to do, we've tried to be as cooperative as we possibly can be. We brought in a civil engineer and a structural engineer. We got a second appraisal done. We got the waiver of damages signed and notarized. We stayed patient with each step in the sequence, and we're really striving to do the right thing. So I'm asking you that you please vote in favor of this measure, specifically C38 and C39.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Mark.
Much appreciated. Is there any other member of the public that would wish to speak this evening?
Good evening, Council.
Evening.
My name is Zach. I am actually new to Leominster. I moved here 3 years ago, and I've been blessed to own the property 200 Pleasant Street, right next door to Joanne and Arthur. They've been the grandparents that I've never had. Sorry to get emotional. And they're the nicest people. And having this happen to them has been really tough to watch. And they're the nice, they'll bring you soup, they'll come over and they'll just say hi. They'll fix the fence between the property. They're the sweetest people, and it's been tough to see this happen to them. I've been blessed to only have minor damages to my property, and I'm just hoping that the council here understands the value that these people have, and they give them the opportunity to start again. Also, just from a more logistical side of things, it's very dangerous the way that it's situated right now. Pleasant Street is a very popular road. It's on the bus stop. Kids, dogs, families are going past this massive sinkhole that poses a significant hazard to the residents of Leominster. And I hate to see that every day when I wake up. And I know that the town of Leominster will do the right thing. And I just thank you for your time tonight.
Zach, thank you for your help that night to this family. You're the type of person that makes us as a city proud.
Absolutely. No.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address the city council this evening? Second time, is there any member of the public that wishes to address the city council this evening? And for a third and final time, is there any member of the public that wishes to address the city council? Seeing none, I'll declare the public forum closed. We're gonna bring the formal meeting to order by a pledge to allegiance. Now going to call the roll of the city council. Starting with Councilor David Cormier,
Present.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Present.
Councilor Arndinger,
Present.
Councilor Angelini,
Present.
Councilor Tossi,
Present.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Present.
Councilor Robbins,
Present.
Councilor Frida,
Present.
and I am present. All 9 members of the city council are present. I'll now ask the vice president if she's ready to report on any records.
Mr. President, I understand that there were some additional revisions that were submitted this morning for the January 22nd minutes. A quick review with the clerk shows that I believe that we will be able to make those adjustments. So I'd ask you to approve the records from both January 22nd, 2024 and February 12th, 2024.
That may be done. Any objection, Councilor Frida?
Not an objection, just an apology. I had jotted it down and meant to give it to the assistant clerk last meeting, and when I opened my folder today, I found it, so I contacted the clerk, so my apology for
Thank you
that.
for doing that. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Thank you very much. I haven't seen the February 12th ones, the 12th minutes.
No, we need to give those further time. I haven't finished them yet
Oh,
due to
okay.
early voting.
All right, so we're
All right.
So-
Okay.
we're going to
we're gonna
approve January
22?
22nd.
Okay. All right, so that may be done. Moving on to communications from the mayor, starting with C40.
C40, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $4,115,600 be made to the stabilization fund, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account.
The C40 is referred to the chairman of finance.
First time on the calendar, Mr. President, regular course.
Very well, C40 has been given regular course. C41.
C41, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $662,236.32 be made to the Water Department Capital Outlay Expense Account. The same amount is to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account.
C41 is referred to the chairman of finance.
First time on the calendar, regular course.
Thank you, Mr. Finance Chair, regular course. C42.
C42, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $394,080.93 be made to the Sewer Department Capital Outlay Expense Account. The same is to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account.
C42 is referred to the chairman of finance.
First time on the calendar, regular course.
Very well, C42 is given regular course. C43.
C43, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $133,375 be made to the Capital Stabilization Fund, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account.
C43 is again referred to the chairman of finance.
First time on the calendar, regular course.
Very well, C43 is given regular course. C44.
C44, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $250,000 be made to the Flood Fund, the same amount to be transferred from the Stabilization Fund.
C44 is referred to the chairman of finance.
First time on the calendar, regular course.
Very well, C44 is given regular course. C45.
C45, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $66,860 be made to the Police Department Equipment Expense Account, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account.
And C45 is referred to the chairman of finance.
First time on the calendar, regular course.
Very well, C45 is given regular course. Moving on to petitions. First time on the agenda, starting with 35-24.
35-24, Officer Julio Ramos, Leominster Police Department, request to amend Chapter 13 of the revised ordinance entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 13, Section 13-24 of the revised ordinance entitled No Parking on Certain Streets by inserting the following text. Church Street, West Side, south of Merriam Avenue, for 136 feet. Church Street, West Side, south of Merriam Avenue, for 136 feet. Church Street, West Side, starting from 248 feet south from Merriam Avenue, ending at the intersection of Church Street and West Street. See attached map.
C35-24 is referred to the chairman of legal affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on our agenda, regular course, please, with a referral to the mayor's office.
Very well, 35-24 is given regular course with a referral to the mayor's office. Councilor Frida?
Should we also include the DPW?
Mr. Chairman?
Certainly, why not?
Okay. So C35-24 is regular course with a referral to the mayor in the DPW. Moving on to 36-24.
36-24, Mark R. Emma, Launch Leominster at 118 Commercial Road, Leominster, Massachusetts. Request to renew the bowling alley license for 8 lanes.
36-24 is referred to the Chairwoman of Ways and Means.
Regular course, please, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. 36-24 is given regular course. 37-24.
37-24, Entertainment Cinemas Leominster, LLC. Request to renew entertainment license at 45 Sac Boulevard, Leominster, Mass.
37-24 is referred to the Chairwoman of Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regular course, please.
Very well. 37-24 has been given regular course. Moving on to matters before the City Council, starting with the financial report. Is the chairman ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President, we began the fiscal year on July 1st, 2023 with $21,785,513.54. We've earned to date $273,870.57 in interest, bringing us to $22,059,384.11. To date, and pending tonight's appropriation of C-39, if passed, we will have spent $4,115,600, and that would leave us with a balance of $17,943,784.11. And I will also note that our free cash has been certified, and that came in at $14,469,131, and that is the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to matters, Council Frida?
Through the chair to the finance chair, this is the lowest free cash amount that we've seen in many, many years. I hope it's not an indicator. A lot of the communities are very concerned about their budgets coming up this year between state funding and municipal funding. So I would like to request this year that we seriously consider having more department heads come in, because I'm going to anticipate we're not going to be able to avoid a tough budget year this year. So if we can bring more of I know it's been easy when we've had adequate funding, but this year, if we're a little bit on the low side, if we could have more departments come in when you're planning the budget hearings.
From
I think
what I'm hearing, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion this year at budget time, because there's been
It's not going to be good, I don't think.
cuts asked to be made and things like that, so there's going to, I think.
But I think we need to hear the rec department, library. We need to hear all those again.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you say 14 million?
14,469,000.
I don't remember there being.
14 million?
Yes. 14,469,000.
I don't remember there being.
Okay, no, I wasn't, I thought it was 4 million.
No, sorry.
That's a good news.
No, don't apologize. That's a good issue.
Doesn't mean the budget isn't going to be.
No,
but the free
I'm
cash is good.
going to stick with the budget problem.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to matters before the Finance Committee, starting with C-37. Is the chairman ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President. C-37, Dean J. Mazzarella Mayor request that an appropriation of $50,000 be made to the Gallagher Building Maintenance line, the same amount to be transferred from the Gallagher Building Revolving Fund. As most of you know, I think it was a month ago or so, we had a $20,000 appropriation for the Gallagher Building. And of course, like everything else seems to go these days, once they got into the boiler system and started taking a look at things, they realized that there were some issues with one of the circuit boards in there, and there's 2 different boilers, and the circuit boards weren't working too well and they're having a hard time with parts. So they had to do some retrofitting to get these boilers to work in tandem, from what I understand. And so it wasn't as cheaper and as easy of a fix as they originally planned. And I also was forewarned by the comptroller that this is probably not the last we're going to hear of this, but for now they're requesting another $50,000. And I think I had mentioned it when this 20,000 came up at the last time, that there's over $1 million or so in that account. Its intended purposes are to pay for these sorts of things. It's our responsibility to maintain the building where the courthouse now stands. So it will be my position to grant C-37, and Mr. President, I'll ask you to check. Committee.
Very well. Councilor Pauline Cormier,
I agree.
Councilor Angelini.
I'll make it unanimous, Mr. President.
You heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-37. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-37, please recognize in the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 9-0, C-37 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, ordered that the sum of $50,000 be made to the Gallagher Building Maintenance Line, the same amount to be transferred from the Gallagher Building Revolving Fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay.
Yay.
Anybody opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 9-0. Moving on to C-39.
C-39, Dean
Mr.
J.
President, I'm assuming that this is in regard to possibly Pleasant Street.
Yes, it's connected to C-39.
So I'm going to have to recuse myself for a possible conflict of interest.
Okay, fine. Very, very well.
C-39, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that the appropriation of $350,000 be made to the mayor's expense capital account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. First, I'd like to read an email that we got from the mayor today. It was received at 9:01 a.m. Good morning. We've had a question regarding the taking of the above address because the subject line did read 208 Pleasant Street. The bridge and roadway on Pleasant and Pond Streets washed away and had been temporarily repaired. However, it is important to note that this is temporary. Our assessment of the repair to the stream/brook will be less if we purchase the property. DEP does not like the idea of using pipe to address the drainage. If the owners of 208 were to repair their home to occupy, it would require us to lift the home and properly size the culvert that the home sits on. Tonight's appropriation is only to purchase the home. We have many other steps in the process, and I know that residents of Wasp Meadow condos have asked about repair to areas impacted as a result of the washout. Once we own the property at 208, we will be moving ahead with demo, followed by engineering from the brook roadway area and the area washed out on the condo property. I am not an engineer, however, I believed that those areas would be included. Hope this addresses any concerns. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor. So as the public, most people here, and I'll just explain for the public, this is the house that was on world news for the washout that happened. It's kind of a unique situation where you have a stream that flows underneath the house. A house like that would never be allowed to be built today. So, you know, if we want to pass any blame, I guess it would be those that came before us, that back in those days, that was what was allowed. And what happened during the flood was there was a deluge of water that came, and obviously, you know, the system there could not handle it and created the situation, you know, that exists today with a house that's been undermined. So there, you know, there's been, obviously there's options here, and the mayor has worked with the owners of the property, and it sounds like they came to the best solution would be to have this friendly taking. You know, if the Obens, the residents at 208 Pleasant Street wanted to, you know, keep their home as is, as the mayor explained, we'd have to do a lot of work to lift the house, shore up all of the drainage underneath it. You know, and then at the end of the day, the house still sits on a stream. And it's, you know, I don't think anybody wants to, after seeing what happened, I don't think I'd want to live like that anymore. I don't think it's a good situation. Not to mention DEP, they prefer that this would be an open type culvert instead of closed, which, exists now. So for many reasons, Mr. President, I think it makes sense. And we're grateful that everybody came to an agreement here. It just makes sense in the long run for the city and the property owners that we move forward with C-39. And ask you to vote, members of my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pauline Cormier
I agree.
and Councilor Angelini.
Let me just say, Mr. President, I agree with my colleagues, but I think if you look at this, as the mayor pointed out, this is going to be drainage improvements that are going to actually begin there. And what happens in traditional older drainage that uses pipe, clay pipe, PVC, whatever. And when you have high volumes of rain, obviously, there's only so much capacity for those pipes. So you get refusal, and that creates other problems. A bottomless culvert, I think, is what the chairman was referring to, which DEP prefers these days, actually has a bottom, which is natural stone cobble of different size. It actually slows down the velocity of the flow as well. And I think it, as the mayor also indicated, it will help us address some of the issues down gradient from this particular property. So some of the repairs as well that were made to the water and sewer lines and parts of Pleasant Street were temporary in nature. So those are going to have to be revisited. And I think this gives the city an opportunity to take this drainage project and do it properly in a way that's going to last for hundreds of years. So I will be in favor of this as well.
Thank you, Councilor. You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-39. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-39, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, C-39 has passed. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, ordered that the sum of $350,000 be made to the mayor's expense capital account, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please indicate by saying yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The order is adopted. Moving on to legal affairs in 25-24. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am indeed, Mr. President. Thank you. 25-24 is Peter A. Angelini, Ward 5 Councilor, requests to revise the amended Leominster City Ordinance by inserting a new section regarding short-term rental units. This was actually submitted regular course back on December 11th. We actually had a suspension of the continued public hearing until our next meeting on March 11th, due to a point that was raised by at-large Councilor Shalafo Zephyr, who read into the record an opinion from the Ethics Commission that stated if you own a Residence A property, you are prohibited from voting on a zoning ordinance that affects that particular Residence A. So now, Councilor Shalafo Zephyr was asked to pass on the entire opinion. Once we received the entire opinion, it became evident that there is a caveat to that, and it's section 19B3, that if 10% of the population resides within Residence A zone, then you can indeed participate if you own property in that zone. It's my understanding, based on current population numbers, the most recent one I found was 47,522, and obviously that changes due to births and deaths. So that would mean as long as there was roughly 4,753 citizens residing in Residence A, that would meet the threshold of the 10% and would allow councilors who live in Residence A or own property in Residence A to participate in the vote on this particular petition. I just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding is the clerk's office is working on those numbers currently, and hopefully by the 11th, we'll have that squared away. Councilor Shalafo Zephyr?
Thank you very much. Through the chair to the Ward 5 counselor. We're also waiting for the planning board to weigh in because they have a meeting. They wanted further time to think about this and discuss it more. So they have a meeting on Monday night. So we're waiting for the planning board to get back as well. And my understanding about the 10%, it's 10% of homeowners. So they have to be homeowners in Residence A. It isn't just people who live in Residence A, it's those who own a home.
That's fine. Thank you.
Anything else? Councilor Frida?
After the big discussion the last time about the Ethics Commission, I decided to call as well.
Okay.
And I got the exact same answer with 10%. And I agree with what Councilor Zephyr just said. They told me the same thing, 10% of Residence A properties in the city. So it's not the total population, it's the Residence A. So, and they did not think we should be voting on it. So
Did they do the calculations?
No, I don't think so. No, it was a number.
We got the.
So they feel that it's a self-serving issue.
Well, we have Councilor Riley, our city solicitor, working on this. I'm confident he will, working along with the clerk's office and other city officials, get us an answer on the population numbers, and then we'll know what our responsibilities.
I think it would be interesting if everybody on the council called ethics, see what they got for an answer.
Right now, that's fine. If anybody wants to call, they certainly can. But right now our advice is coming from Councilor Riley, and we'll wait for his opinion before we do anything. So, okay, we finished with 25-24, and I suspect your recommendation is further time.
Further time.
And I'll check with members of your committee, and that's, let's see, Councilor Tossi and Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
Heard the unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to grant 25-24 further time. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of further time, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 9-0, we've given 25-24 further time. Moving on to 30-24.
30-24 is Peter Nile, Building Commissioner, a request to update plumbing permit fee schedule. We held a public hearing earlier this evening. Unfortunately, the notice that a learned clerk sent to the building commissioner, this was misinterpreted by the building commissioner. And so he's going to be here on our March 11th meeting. So we kept this public hearing open, continued it, and I would ask for further time, and I would ask you to poll members of my committee.
Okay, so the recommendation is further time in a continued public hearing for March 11th at 6:35, and I'll check with Councilor Tossi.
I agree.
And Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
Heard unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to grant 30-24 further time and continue the public hearing till March 11th at 6:35 p.m. Any further discussion? All those in favor of granting 30-24 further time and continuing the public hearing, please recognize the usual manner. The 30-24 has been given further time with a new public hearing date. Moving on to City Property Committee, C38. Is the chairman ready to report?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, Councilor Freed?
I will have to recuse myself from this as well.
Same reason, yeah. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a little visual impairment, so I'm going to ask the city clerk to read the communication, and she would. Okay, thank you. Do you have it?
Oh, you need mine.
Just off the agenda?
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
C38, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that the City Council vote to authorize the mayor to acquire by purchase, gift, and/or eminent domain a parcel of land located at 208 Pleasant Street, Leominster, containing .38 acres, more or less, and described in a deed recorded with the Worcester North District Registry of Deeds in Book 10494, page 333, for drainage purposes, on such terms and conditions as the mayor deems in the best interest of the city, and further to authorize the mayor to enter into any and all agreements and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary or convenient to effect said acquisition.
Thank you. This communication was presented to the council on 2/12 and was given regular course with a referral to the assessor's office and the DPW and information from the mayor. We received those two letters of recommendation. They were fine, and everyone has heard the letter from the mayor. And it seems like this is the most cost-effective method and the method that will give the residents of the condo complex down there the most protection. So my recommendation is to grant C-38.
Okay, and I'll check with members of your committee. Councilor Robbins
I'm in agreement. Thank you.
and Councilor Tossi.
I agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the City Property Committee to grant C-38. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-38, please recognize in the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 8-0, one abstained, C-38 has been granted. So happy for you. Thank you. The end of a long road. All right, moving on to Ways and Means. And I guess we're going to take these in block. Madam Chairwoman, are you ready to report?
I am, Mr. President. So I'll read these out in block. 28-24, upscale consignment. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 875 Merriam Ave, Leominster, Mass. 29-24, Fred's Auction. Request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 92 Pleasant Street, Leominster. 31-24, RCDC Inc., doing business as Crown Jewelers, request to renew their license to deal secondhand articles at 12 Lindell Ave. 32-24, George's Fine Jewelry, doing business as House of Relics, request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 1292 Lindell Avenue. 34-24, George's Fine Jewelries Incorporated, request to renew license to deal secondhand articles at 255 North Street in Leominster. All these matters were given regular course on our last meeting. And just to refresh everybody's memory, in order to renew these licenses, we have to have a completed application, a letter in good standing from both the police department and the treasurer's department, proof of liability, insurance, and registration with the state of Massachusetts. In each of these particular instances, their applications are complete, all their paperwork is complete. So it would be my position to renew all the licenses for the 28-24, 29-24, 31-24, 32-24, and 34-24, and I'd ask you to check with members of my committee.
Councilor Arndinger?
I agree.
Councilor David Cormier?
I also agree.
Heard the unanimous recommendation of the Ways and Means Committee to grant 28-24, 29-24, 31-24, 32-24, and 34-24. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting all of those petitions, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 9-0, 28-24, 29-24, 31-24, 32-24, and 34-24 have been granted. That leaves you 33-24.
Thank you, Mr. President. 33-24, Caitlin Huffman, City Clerk, requests that the City Council grant the attached election order for the March 5th, 2024 presidential primary election. This was given regular course on our last date. It would be my recommendation to grant 33-24, and I'd ask you to check with members of my committee.
Very well. Councilor Arndinger?
I agree.
Councilor David Cormier?
I also agree.
You heard the unanimous recommendation of the Ways and Means Committee to grant 33-24. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting 33-24, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 9-0, 33-24 has been granted. Is there any new business to come before the council? Moving on to old business. Is the Chairman of Legal Affairs ready to report?
I am indeed, Mr. President. Thank you. Yes, this is the second reading of an ordinance, formally petition 22-24. It was involved Tom Avenzi and Donovan. Requested a zoning change at 435 Lancaster Street. In the year 2024, an ordinance, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Leominster as follows. Article 4 of the zoning ordinance entitled Underlying District Regulations is hereby amended by deleting the text in section 24.3.1 in its entirety and replacing it with the following. 24.3.1, residential uses in the BB district are permitted with a special permit from the planning board. Mr. President, it would be my recommendation that we adopt the second reading of the ordinance, and I would ask you to poll members of my committee.
Counselor Tosse?
I agree.
Counselor Pauline Cormier?
I agree.
Heard unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting the second reading of 22-24, please recognize the usual manner.
You have to do a
Anyone
roll call.
opposed? Sorry.
You have to do a roll call because it's an ordinance.
We'll do the roll call, starting with Counselor David Cormier,
Nay.
Counselor Pauline Cormier,
Yay.
Counselor Frank Arninger,
Yay.
Counselor Angelini,
Yay.
Counselor Robert Tosse,
Yay.
Counselor Chalfo Zephyr,
Yay.
Counselor Robbins,
Yay.
Counselor Frida.
Yay.
This will be recorded as yay by a vote of 8-1. The second reading is adopted. Is there anything for the community calendar this evening? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make
Counselor
that move.
Chalfo Zephyr, second. Counselor Cormier, all of those in favor? We are adjourned.
The Leominster City Council meeting is funded in part by DeCarolis Insurance Agency at www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com and by Avidia Bank at www.avidiabank.com.